Hi there. It's Amy Wiswell with Teaching with Mrs. Wiswell, and I feel like I look a little blurry. Maybe that's better. Um, so I guess we'll see if anyone joins. This could be a complete bust, but I did get some questions. So I do have something to talk about, um, but not sure. So we'll just give it a couple minutes. I don't want to jump in. Um, Yes, it is 8 o'clock on a Saturday, and I am in my classroom. Well, I'm gonna give it to, like, 2 minutes, and then I'm just gonna jump into the questions. Um, I've never done this before, so I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know if anyone's out there. If you're out there, can you send a message so I can know that this is working? Has this ever happened to anybody else? I feel like I have no friends. Okay. Well, I'm gonna just talk and see what happens. So, the first question I get asked a lot is, "How old am I?" And I encouraged you to take a guess and that I would send you a prize. So far, no one has guessed the correct answer. Um, so, yeah, take a guess at my age, and I will send you something. I mean, not too awesome, but I would think pretty cool and usable. Um, let's see. A big question I get asked is, why did I leave teaching for 10 years? That's a loaded question. I don't know that I can make it a short story, but let's see. I left teaching in 2008. In 2007, I was blessed with a baby girl. Her name was Catherine. We called her Katie. And I went back to work and put her in daycare. And then she was our miracle baby. We tried for 7 years to conceive. She was an IVF baby, my third IVF treatment. Um, I was given up and I got pregnant. And Katie was born with complex medical conditions. Um, well, really just one. She had a very special heart. And yeah, she was basically born with a half a heart, which might be called HLHS, but she didn't present as an HLHS baby. So they said, take her home, feed her, get her to grow, and we'll reassess. So that's what we did. And when Katie was 3 months old, lo and behold, I found out I was pregnant. You know, me, who suffered from infertility for 7 years, found out I was pregnant. I hung up on the nurse when she told me I was pregnant. I had no idea. So we had a decision to make. At the time, we were living just outside of Boston, and the cost of daycare was ridiculous. And the thought of having 2 in daycare just didn't make sense. So I decided not to go back to school that year, and I would stay home with Katie, and not knowing what her medical needs would be, and wait for baby number 2 to arrive. Baby number 2 arrives in 2009. He's healthy. He's a boy, and we're living life with 2 kiddos 13 months apart. And it was great, and it was fun, and we went about our business. When Katie was around 2.5, her health began to decline. We saw failure to thrive, even though she was eating more calories than I can't remember at this point, but we were supplementing all of her food and giving her Ensure, and they wanted a feeding tube, and I didn't want a feeding tube, and we were doing that dance, and finally, reluctantly, I had to give in and get a feeding tube, and also when we got the feeding tube, my 3-year-old was listed for a heart transplant, and that 3-year-old would wait. The longest wait they've ever had for a 3-year-old would wait for a heart, almost 2.5 years. And she'd get that heart, and they told me it was a perfect heart. And she went on to play soccer and dance and go to school and live a pretty normal life for a little bit. And then she went into severe rejection. Doctors didn't know why. Med levels were fine. It didn't make sense. In 2014, my baby girl died. I should have backed that up a little bit. In 2014, 14, it must have been 2013. I found out I was expecting baby number 3. No fertility treatments, no nothing. Infertile Myrtle was having another baby. 5 years from the last one. Complete surprise. So I went on and I had that baby. I was pregnant while Katie was dying. And let's see, 29 days after Katie died, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. And she is definitely saved me in more ways than one. And so I couldn't go home. I couldn't put my son in kindergarten. I couldn't do things that I was supposed to do as a mom. So we up and moved. We moved 2.5 hours north of Boston to New Hampshire, a small town in New Hampshire. And I took a year to grieve. Me and my baby, we grieved. My husband went to work, my son went to school, and I barely got out of bed until probably her first birthday. And on her first birthday, there's a picture of me, and I keep it on my phone. And it's the first time I felt like I was a genuine smile. I look at the pictures from her birth, and they're sad because I was so sad. But on her first birthday, I was actually genuinely happy. And I was moving on in my grief process. And then, let's see, I decided to go back to work in 2015, but I never thought I could. So I always taught preschool, kindergarten, and I couldn't go back to that and have a room full of Katies. So I found a job in the school district because I didn't know anything else, and I was a sub coordinator at the local high school. And so I got up at 5 a.m., fielded calls, called in subs, organized their day, and yeah, it was a lot, but it was good. It felt good to get out of the house. It felt good to be around adults. It felt good to just kind of like be making that journey, move in my journey. So that was in 2015. In 2016, my husband got diagnosed with cancer, esophageal cancer. in like May. Yeah, in May of 2017, I think. And I was brought to my knees again, bouncing a baby on my hip. The doctor said there is a huge tumor, but we think it's operable. So Halloween, we went in and we had all our hopes. And doctor came out within an hour, and I knew something was wrong, and said it was inoperable, and that my husband probably had less than a year to live. So here I am, still grieving the death of my daughter, and now preparing to bury my husband, with my son and my daughter. Well, we didn't get that year. He died 9 days later, complications from surgery. So, still with me? I don't know if anyone's with me, but here I am. So, now I'm a grieving mom and a grieving spouse with 2 young kids. I'm not gonna tell you my age because it's a trick question tonight. But, high teaching in Chucks, but I was fairly young, and, I would make the kids dinner, like Annie's mac and cheese and peas. That was, like, our go-to dish once the meal train stopped, and, I would get in bed, and I'd pour myself a glass of wine, and I would eat Ben& and Jerry's. And I still had to work because still need to pay the bills. So, I continued on, and one night I was eating Ben& and Jerry's, and I said, "This isn't gonna work. I can't do this for the rest of my life. Like, I'm just not that person. I need somebody." So I went on Match.com and, made a profile, made some pictures, posted some pictures, and, someone liked my picture. And there were numerous people, just like I had to weed through, like, the crap that you have to weed through. But there was one particular man who stood out, who liked my picture, and I accidentally sent him a message. And by accidentally, I meant to send him a message. I just didn't mean to send him, like, a pre-generated message, but it's our story. So I sent him a message, and he responded and agreed to have dinner with me that Saturday night. That was, like, on a Wednesday. So I went to my closet. No, first I called one of my friends, a dear friend from Massachusetts, because I didn't want anyone up here to know I was dating. And, um, she came up to watch the kids and said, "You're not wearing that." I had a cardigan on, and I looked like a teacher. So I went shopping. I went to Express, and I went shopping, and I was like, "Holy crap." And anyway, I bought a new outfit, and I went on that date, and the rest is history. We got married, he adopted my children, and life is grand. It really is. After so much loss, it's still very good. And we moved. We moved from that little New Hampshire town to Maine. That's where he was from, and it was like the middle of the road for his commute and my commute. And so we moved, enrolled the kids in new schools, which was really difficult. Riley was still in preschool, but my older son had to go to a new school. I continued on my job at the high school. And um, then it was time to put Riley into school. Riley is a COVID baby. So she was sent home March of her kindergarten year. Well, hello, August of her COVID year that summer, they were hiring a paraprofessional at her school, an adorable K through 4 school. And I said, "What the hell? I mean, I can do that. It won't be as big a commitment as being the teacher. I think it'll work for our family, blah, blah, blah." So I applied. I got hired. Bam. While I'm teaching as a paraprofessional, um, the 3rd grade position opened up because the 3rd grade teacher was gonna take a year off and be an interventionalist. So I applied. It was, like, more than a long-term sub, but not a contracted position. It was the COVID position. So I didn't really like being a paraprofessional. I wanted to have my own class. I wanted to do things the way I wanted to do them, and I felt I was ready. And being a para definitely prepared me to go back to the classroom. Like, I saw that I could handle a room full of Katies. So I did that, and I had a wonderful year in 3rd grade. And so it turns out they weren't coming back, the 3rd grade teacher. And so I stayed. And here I am teaching 3rd grade in this little school my kids no longer go to. And so that's the story of how I left the classroom and how I came back. And sure, who doesn't love a good joke? So, who's there? Robin who? I'm gonna have to say that for my kiddos. They're into knock knock jokes this right now. Um, so that was that. Does anyone that's here live have a question for me, or should I keep going with my list? Anyone have a guess on my age? All right, next question. How do you handle challenging behaviors? So I am seeing a lot of challenging behaviors. As I said, the 3rd graders I have now were the kindergartners that went home in March due to COVID. So there's a lot of lagging skills, a lot of social lagging skills, a lot of behavior lagging skills, and it's a challenge for sure. Um, I guess what I do is to try to intercept the behavior before it happens. I try to have systems in place to make it so that there's not room for behaviors, but even the best laid plans don't always work out. Let's see, I missed 5 minutes of the intro. How many years were you teaching before you got pregnant with your first baby? Mm, someone's doing some math. I was teaching 5 years before I got pregnant with my first baby. Um, so yeah, I try to intercept it. I try to um, do a lot of positive reinforcement. I, I try not to let it get the best of me, but that's hard. Um, so yeah, that's what I do. Um, I'd love some advice because I definitely have challenging behaviors that leave me and the behavior specialists wondering what to do. Um, but we'll get through it. I try to find the positive in every student, and if you do that and you have that mindset, and it's usually okay. Let's see. Do you use a clip chart? Dun dun dun. No, no, I don't. Because I believe when you know better, you do better. And that's a perfect example. Have I used a clip chart? Sadly, yes. Do I think that it's horrible? Do I feel badly for those children I used a clip chart with? Do I regret it immensely? Yes. But I didn't know better. Everybody else was doing it. Must be fine. It worked. Did it? I don't think so. So no, I don't use a clip chart. Um, do you think jeans are okay for teachers? Do I think jeans are okay for teachers? Yeah, I do. I don't think if I'm wearing jeans, it makes me less of a teacher. And quite frankly, I'm on the floor a lot and I'm kneeling at desks. And so, yeah, I mean, when COVID hit, we had like a really laxed um, dress code. I mean, I guess it's called business casual, but it was really casual. And it got even more casual with COVID. And we just haven't really it's funny because they put the Friday jean can out to pay your dues to wear jeans on Friday, and I'm like, "I just won't wear them on Friday. I'll wear them on Wednesday." So, I don't know. I just think that's silly. I don't think jeans are gonna retain or, keep good teachers or not. I don't know. Where do you live and teach? That's a pretty personal question. Not one I'm totally comfortable answering, but I will say I teach in rural Maine. Is that vague enough for you? Um, did you always want to be a teacher? Yes. All I ever wanted was to be a teacher and a mama. I'm living the dream. No, I always wanted to be a teacher. Since I can remember, I can't remember another profession that I wanted to be. Um, I would play school with anyone that would play with me, like, my parents would have people over for dinner, and I'd be like, "Come play school with me." I played school till a ridiculously long time, like, probably not age appropriate, but whatever, and I would set up my stuffed animals or my dolls and my brother and my mom would say, "You're such a mean teacher. Do your teachers talk to you like that?" Um, so, yes, I've always wanted to be a teacher. Why do you YouTube? That's a pretty good question. I think it's because I get a lot from YouTube, people that I follow and teachers that I follow, and I felt that I had something to say and my story was worth sharing, and I might have an idea or 2 that might be helpful, and I just really like watching, like, vlogs and things like that, and they're inspiring, and I use it for, like, a form of self-reflection, which I think is a good thing, and especially, like, it's hard to watch, but when I get video clips of me teaching, um, like, to see, like, how I present myself and, what I'm putting out there. So, I like to do that. I'm looking to collaborate and meet other teachers. I work in a very small school, and, I would like to find my teacher bestie. I don't know if she's out there. But no, to collaborate and share ideas and meet other teachers and see what they're doing. And so that's why. Um, plus, who doesn't like talking to themselves? Like, people think I'm crazy. They wouldn't be wrong. I think we're all a little crazy. Who is your favorite YouTube teacher? Teacher tuber. I really struggled with this one because my favorite teacher YouTuber was Pocketville Primary, Michelle Foray, then Emerson, and then she left. She didn't leave YouTube, but she left the profession, and I've alluded to it a little bit in the past that I just have a difficult time relating to her now because she's not in the trenches, and it's hard for me to connect. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. She put out some great content, and it was probably the inspiration for why I started a YouTube channel, and, I just Now it's just left me kinda like, you left, give it up. It's time to move on." Um, so yeah, so I guess my current favorite, like, who's current and, like, does updates, is Mrs. Call's Campers. Um, but I really like Elementary and The Mitten, but she's not putting out any current content. Um, Early Adventures is another one. I would love Mrs. Call's Maylene from Mrs. Call's Campers because she's relatable and yeah, they are a different breed of kids. It's like nothing. What grade do you teach teaching in Chucks? Oh, I like Mrs. Katie in elementary too. She's very sweet. And I love that she's in 3rd grade. So that was my question. Oh, awesome. Another 3rd grade teacher. Um, you have much warmer weather than I do. But I would like to find another 3rd grade teacher to follow or even a 4th grade teacher, um, that puts out a lot of content. Um, but yeah, so it was pocket full of primary. She really had my heart, but now I haven't really found anyone to replace her. But Mrs. Claus Campers is very sweet and she's very animated, and I love to watch her with the littles. Maybe she'll move to 3rd grade and I can see some content that's relatable. Um, let's see. My next question. You said you have taught kindergarten and now you teach 3rd. Which grade do you prefer? Hands down 3rd. I think that the littles are great when you're young and don't have a family, but if I had to teach kindergarten and then go home to my family, I don't think I could do it. I couldn't imagine teaching littles and having littles at home, and now that my littles at home are a little bit older, maybe, but they're just so needy. They're just so needy. Um, and I just like the content of 3rd grade. I like that they still like their teacher and they write me love letters, so it's still cool to like your teacher, but they're capable and responsible. Well, that's saying something, but you know what I mean. They're just more, I'm not being asked to tie wet sh shoes, ties that you don't know why they're wet. And, yeah, so 3rd grade, hands down, bam. Probably as high as I'll ever go. I can't see me going higher than 3rd grade, because 4th, they're a little bit too cool for school. Um, so there's that. Starbucks or Dunkin'? Well, I love coffee, so this was a good question for me. I drink both. I prefer Starbucks, like the fancy drinks. If I'm just getting coffee, I prefer Dunkin'. I know I'm very needy. Ink joy pens or flare pens? Both for different reasons and for different uses. Um, yeah, whining. No whining. Second would work. Yeah. Um, I really, and I'm nailing the content in 3rd. I just feel like I don't want to learn a new curriculum, new standards. So I'm going to stay where I am as long as they'll have me. Do you have a teacher bestie? So, not really. As I mentioned, I work in a really small school, but I work alongside amazing teachers. Like, I've never experienced a school like the school I work at. There is no drama. There is no back talking. There is everybody, unless they're all back talking about me, which I don't think they are. And they're so helpful, and even though we don't really see the K-1s because they're on the other side of the building and we're a small building, it's just that everyone's busy in their day and their schedules are different. But my 2nd and 4th grade on either side of me, like, when it comes to school, like, they're my ride or die. My administrator is amazing. Our support staff is amazing. Our secretary, like, rules the school, in a good way. And, yeah, I'm very blessed in where I teach, but I don't really have a teacher bestie in terms of like, I have a bestie, like, I would guess you'd call her my teacher bestie, like, we leave each other little gifts and bring each other pick-me-ups and stuff, but we don't really bring it outside of work, if that makes sense. Um, it's very professional, but not professional, like, she knows my whole life story, I know hers, or not her whole life story, but I know a lot about her life, outside of school, but we don't really see each other outside of school because I'm always at school. Um, so I don't know. So I guess I'm looking for that teacher bestie. Um, do you prefer a digital planner or a paper planner? I own both. I use neither. And that's basically I shouldn't say I use neither. I use the paper one if I need it, but basically I teach with slides and I teach from a pretty much boxed curriculum. I mean, I supplement a lot because both curriculums leave a lot to be desired. Um, but I teach with slides, so I just kind of play my slide deck and I go from there. So there's that. But I'll buy a planner every year and I might buy 3 digital ones because this is the year I'm going to do it, but I don't do it. And the last question I have is why do you work past contract hours? Yeah. Well, I guess the easy answer would be I'm a workaholic. I don't know. But I need to. Um, and I don't know if I need to because I'm extra or if it's because I'm too social during my prep time or but I can't get it all done during contract hours. So if you can, tell me your secret because it's a struggle. Now, granted, I'm here late on the weekend, but I knew I wanted to go live and I was here doing grad school work and I was out last week's with a stomach bug, so I have a ton to catch up on. I mean, I'll make excuses all day long. I don't know why. Do you work past contract hours or do you stick to contract hours? All right, any guesses on my age? So that's all I have for questions that were sent to me. Um, so I'm gonna leave it open for a little bit because again, I don't know. Maybe it's just me and teaching and trucks in here. I don't know. Um, I like to teach in trucks too, with my jeans and my Starbucks and my ink joy and flare pens, not in writing in my planner. Um, yeah. So I'll give it a couple more minutes and then I'm gonna end it. And I don't know if it saves it. I don't know anything about it. So we'll find out. I got a good joke out of it though. Yeah, you work at home. So I don't bring any work home. When I'm home, I'm absolutely present. But it's because I can't, because there's like my bed and the couch and the TV and Facebook. And I just find all the things to distract me. So you literally work just your contract hours, except for what little you bring home. It's so interesting to me because most of the teachers at my school, all but like one, come in every weekend. Like we have a party on Sunday. And I don't work late during the week because I'm so gosh darn tired, but I do put a lot of hours in on the weekend. I wonder. Yeah, that's what I do during my planning too if I'm not being pulled in 10 different directions for meeting with RTI and meeting with special ed and meeting with guidance counselor and meeting with the principal and meeting but I try to, like, reset the classroom for the afternoon. You've got it down to a science there. Yeah, I've been there. I've been cutting laminate at soccer games. I've been grading papers at soccer games. Yeah, smart. I keep thinking it's the year I'll stop and I'm still trying to find my feet, but I don't know that that's really true because I'm always gonna wanna do something new or different or I wonder if it saves the chat, if it saves the live video. Otherwise, this is gonna make no sense to someone rewatching this. Good for you. All right. Well, thanks for joining, and I'm gonna go. And you want to take a guess at my age? Maybe you'll win. What? No. But thanks for playing. Well, since no one guessed, I suppose I could tell you my age. You're just trying to redeem yourself now. I'm 42 as well. All right. Thanks for playing along. I'll see you on the interwebs. Bye.